Though we'll see a cloudy start, it'll be a bright outlook for the rest of the day. Boxed Solar, sponsors of weather on GB News.
We're giving you the chance to win everything you need to celebrate the festivities. There's £20,025 in tax-free cash. There's £5,000 to spend on gifts for all the family. There's £500 to spend in your favourite supermarket. And a festively themed GB News goodie bag. We'll get it all to you in time for the big day. For your chance to win, call 0903 681 3232. Calls cost £2 plus your network access charge. Text cash to 63232. One entry costs £2 plus one standard network rate message, or text bonus to 63232. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. You can enter online at gbnews.com/win. Entries start from just £2, or post your name and number to GB09 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 6 p.m. on the 22nd of November. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Hi there, I'm Michelle Dewberry and I'm going to take a second to tell you all about my show, Dubes & Co. We start off with the issues of the day. We then bring in both sides of the argument. We get rid of the disrespect. And then you throw me into the mix. And trust me, I'll tell it exactly how it is. And then, of course, the magic ingredient, you at home. We mix it all together and what have we got? In my opinion, the best debate show in town. Monday to Friday, 6 till 7 on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Good Afternoon Britain isn't just about us. The wonderful thing about this programme is it's about everyone watching. It's an interactive programme.
Well, there absolutely is something to see here, and we're going to be talking about it more.
Whether it's breaking royal news, Will, please bring us up to date, or indeed a particularly punchy speech in the House of Commons.
Very, very curious.
We bring it to you live, and then we bring you live reaction as well.
That's Good Afternoon Britain, weekdays from midday.
Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Why go out on a Friday night when Friday night comes straight to your home?
Talking about?
Join me and my A-team of top pundits. Chemistry tonight is electric. As we tackle the big stories of the day with wit, insight and fearless energy.
Man of the people.
It's all vibe.
Just a filing cabinet on wheels with a tie on.
So, order in Friday Night Live with me, Mark Dolan, every Friday at 8, only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Welcome to State of the Nation, daily plunge into the stories shaping our country. I'm Jacob Rees-Mogg, and Monday to Thursday we bring you the insights, the facts, the truth about how our country is being governed. Because what happens in Downing Street matters down your street. Tune in to State of the Nation every Monday to Thursday, 8 to 9 o'clock. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Hello there, coming up in the Saturday Night Showdown, the British Legion have brought out a trans poppy. No, it's not a poppy that identifies as a begonia, it's this one that's been taken over by the controversial Pride Progress flag, representing such things as child gender transitioning and men in women's sports, which has nothing to do with military men and women giving their lives to protect us. Can't we have just one thing that doesn't have a rainbow on it? And as Kamala Harris slides in the polls, the Democrats are getting desperate. The lawsuits didn't stop him, the assassination attempts didn't stop him, replacing Joe Biden with Kamala didn't stop him, so now Kamala has brought out the big guns. She's called Donald Trump Hitler. I'll look at this and why it's an insult to Hitler's victims. And we've seen lots of people on the right get sent to jail for inciting violence via tweets or placards, but people on the left seem to be playing by different rules. The Socialist Worker paper, the scourge of Jeremy Corbyn's coffee table, ran this front page, calling for people to smash fascists. Obviously, fascist doesn't mean fascist anymore. There aren't more than a dozen fascists in the country, I bet. It's a dog whistle for any British person who's got a job. Why is this allowed? Sir Keir, this is your Saturday Night Showdown. Discussing all tonight's topics with me are my brilliant panel. Joining me tonight are the comedians, Nicholas DeSanto and Sajila Kershi. Look at them over there, lovely people. They look like vicars at the New Age church. We just need a tambourine between them. Anyway, first, let's get your latest news headlines from Lewis Mackenzie.
Thank you very much, Leo. Good evening. It's 8 o'clock. I'm Lewis Mackenzie here in the GB newsroom. Now, there's been 5 arrests made in London following a day of protests in the capital. The Met say 3 of the arrests were made at the Uniting the Kingdom demonstration, 1 for being in breach of the Public Order Act and breach of the peace, and 2 for racially aggravated public order offences. The other 2 arrests were made at the Stand Up to Racism counter-protest. However, one of them was de-arrested after she agreed to provide her details, having initially refused to do so. And Downing Street says escalation is in nobody's interest after Israel has conducted precise strikes on military targets in Iran overnight. The strikes against the Iranian regime come after Tehran launched a barrage of more than 180 ballistic missiles at Israel about 3 weeks ago. Terror group Hamas has condemned Israel's attack on Iran, calling it a violation of Iran's sovereignty and a threat to regional security. But the IDF says they'll do whatever is necessary to defend the state. Meanwhile, the Prime Minister, Sir Keir Starmer, says the UK is closely monitoring the situation and has warned Iran not to respond.
Israel does have the right to defend itself. But we are urging and have been urging all sides to show restraint. Iran should not respond. We will continue to work with allies to de-escalate the situation across the region.
And finally, the PM has denied he was plotting a war against Middle Britain after suggestions that those who make an income from property or shares do not fall within his definition of working people. It comes after the Chancellor, Rachel Reeves, insisted that Sir Keir Starmer is in fact a working person and could be among those protected from the government's controversial tax hikes in the upcoming budget. Well, those are your latest GB News headlines. I'm Lewis Mackenzie. There's more from me in an hour's time. But first, let's get back to Leo.
For the very latest GB News direct to your smartphone, sign up to News Alerts by scanning the QR code or go to gbnews.com/alerts.
Thank you, Lewis, and welcome to the Saturday Night Showdown. Now, with Kamala Harris slipping in the polls, she's pulling out the big guns. She's called Trump Hitler and called him a
While Donald Trump was president, he said he wanted generals like Adolf Hitler had. It is deeply troubling and incredibly dangerous that Donald Trump would invoke Adolf Hitler, the man who is responsible for the deaths of 6 million Jews. This is a window into who Donald Trump really is. And it is clear from John Kelly's words that Donald Trump is someone who, I quote, certainly falls into the general definition of fascist.
I like how she clarified which Adolf Hitler she was referring to when she said the one that killed 6 million Jews. This is desperate stuff from the Democrats, and it's dangerous, not just by putting a target on Trump's back or on his ear. The Democrats say they're kind and tolerant. I mean, thank God for that, because I'm sure Trump would hate to have a 4th assassination attempt. Luckily, Trump is harder to kill than a Democrat. You could assassinate Joe Biden by waking him up before 10 a.m. You could make Kamala's head explode by misgendering her. But calling Trump Hitler is also dangerous because it minimises the evil perpetrated by Hitler and makes him seem like Trump, who's actually obviously a pretty socially liberal guy. According to a Daily Mail poll, 1/5 of young Americans now believe that Hitler had some good ideas. And Kamala is now neck and neck with Trump in the polls. No wonder. I haven't heard Kamala enunciate a single policy. All she does is bleat about joy and laugh like a maniac. I was worried about Biden's cognitive function. Now I'm worried Kamala's worse. She went for an IQ test and it came back negative. Liberals hate Trump because unemployment fell under his watch, and they're worried they're going to have to get a job. They hate Trump because he wants to preserve American traditions, such as counting votes by hand. So they're trying everything they can to take Trump out. They tried to take him out with indictments. There's a pile of legal cases against Trump that are higher than Hunter Biden at 4 a.m. The smears against Trump are ridiculous. They called him dramatic for wearing a bandage on his ear. Imagine being called dramatic by a grown man still wearing a face mask in 2024. And the fact checks against Trump in the legacy media are ridiculous. After Kamala claimed she'd worked in a McDonald's as a teenager with no records to confirm this, Trump did a photo op at the McDonald's. This was fact-checked by Newsweek, who said, rumours have been circulating that Trump's visit to McDonald's was staged. Oh, amazing work, guys. This is real investigative reporting. I thought Trump really worked at McDonald's for a moment. Now, I'm joined tonight by two comedians, Nicholas DeSanto and Sajila Kershi. How are you both doing?
Yeah, good. I love how they're obsessed with McDonald's, like politicians, because I would have scraped that out of my CV. Do you know what I mean? I'd be like, no, I definitely didn't work at McDonald's. I've been successful my whole entire life. But they really no, I worked at McDonald's. No, I worked at McDonald's. And actually, Trump, don't you think he looks like a pensioner, like who's retired, and they wants to go back out to work again because they're bored, and they take up a crap job?
It's because Keir Starmer has removed his winter fuel allowance. No, I don't think Trump ever pretended that he worked in McDonald's. He's obviously, he grew up quite wealthy. I think Kamala, there's not much evidence of her actually working at McDonald's apart from her claim.
There has been no evidence, and that's part of Kamala's desperate attempt to project an image of herself as being able to relate to the common man.
Or to fulfill a basic job function.
Yeah, for a start. But, Donald Trump, apart from the McDonald's stunt, he did have a cameo in the 90s in that second Home Alone movie. Did you know that was a stage too?
No way! I thought that was just a fly-in-the-wall documentary. Do you think this, because we see this a lot on the left, they're quick to denounce people as fascists or literally Hitler. Basically, anybody they don't like is literally Hitler. And I think this is such a terrible thing to do because it actually minimises the reality of Hitler. Makes him seem that he wasn't such an extremist. It makes him seem like Donald Trump or seem like some other politician on the right who gets compared to him.
Well, it's interesting that you just said that there was a poll that young people, there was a big majority of young people saying that they thought Hitler had some, good ideas.
20%.
And I think it's more of an image thing. I think, we're getting rid of the hipster beards. Maybe it's the moustache. They really love the moustache, It's more like, Heil hipster. I don't know. Maybe that's what it is. And also because he wore lovely suits, because he wanted, Trump wanted all his generals to be like Hitler's generals, didn't he? And they did have great, Hugo Boss designing for them, as opposed to the ones that the White House get, which are men in black and Moss Bros. Do you know what I mean?
And Trump is always cracking jokes. I think, when he said that, if he said it, he was probably cracking a joke, and he was probably making a joke about, Hitler's generals being incredibly
And
loyal.
who would want Hitler's generals? Everybody who has seen the movie Downfall or Untergang, that particular conversation or burst of anger by Hitler at the last-minute betrayal of his generals, where he's shouting, and it became a meme with all people going, and you know what conversation I'm talking about? They were in the room, and Hitler suddenly burst into anger because he felt he was betrayed by his generals. And forget about that.
But so Trump, do you think he was betrayed by by everybody? Like, the vote doesn't go his way, he's betrayed by the vote.
Well,
he did fire a lot of his.
He did fire a lot of people,
but who then turned against him. But I've turned against any employer who's ever fired me.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, he has the problem here is quite, or the question is quite simple. We have seen what Trump looks like in the White House, and we've seen what Kamala looks like in the White House. And now Kamala is saying, look, if you vote Trump, this time he'll be different, and if you elect me, this time I'll be different. Of course, nobody is buying that. But and then speaking of the 6 million Jews, Trump is the first president who moved the U.S. embassy from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem. This was approved, if I'm not wrong, at the time of Clinton.
He's a huge ally to Israel.
No president dared to do that. Only less than a month ago, he was a keynote speaker at AIC, American-Israeli Council. Obviously welcomed very much, and he claims he's been the most pro-Israeli president in history, and was actually complaining why they didn't vote enough for him. And he's doing quite well among Jews, even Jews in blue states. So this is just smacks
yeah,
of...
but can I just say,
Yes.
all Jews aren't Israel. Israel isn't Jews. That
Yeah,
is,
there's
that,
some-
no,
there's some
no,
kind
no,
of
no,
connection
I'm not
there.
letting you get away with that. I'm not letting you get away with that.
That's a ridiculous
That's not the way
point. I mean-
it is. That's not the way it is. But Trump
but-
does support it. And then in Trump's time, I have to say, there were no wars, right?
Yeah.
What I'm worried about is if he gets in, and actually I don't trust either, as you know, I'm politically homeless at the moment.
Yeah.
So I don't trust any politician. I don't think Kamala's going to be a great asset to
Also, you're not
Palestinians.
American, so you don't need to worry about it too much.
Sorry?
You're not American.
I'm not American, but
So you don't need to worry about voting for them.
well, our politicians are little poodles to America, so actually, it does concern us in a
Keir
way.
Starmer isn't. He seems to be doing everything he can to annoy Trump.
No, well, he's sucking up. I'm still thinking he's sucking up. I don't buy it. But I don't think that either of them are going to be any good for what's happening in that region at all. So that's my stance on it.
I think Trump will be good. I think we'll see a return to stability because everybody will be scared of Trump. And a row has blown up between Trump and Keir because the Labour Party are sending staff over to the US to campaign in battleground states for Kamala Harris. Trump accused Labour of blatant foreign interference and filed a formal complaint claiming that Labour's staff's support for Kamala Harris is illegal foreign assistance. In response, Keir Starmer said that party officials volunteering for Harris were doing it in their spare time, so it doesn't breach rules as they're not getting paid. I mean, I think getting time off, getting holidays, it still counts as getting paid. I still get a paycheck in my holidays. However, he didn't explain why Labour is focusing on a foreign election instead of cleaning up the mess they're making of running Britain. Now, Sajila, can you imagine the uproar if this was Russia sending people over to campaign in a foreign election in America or in the UK?
At the moment, as I said, I'm not happy with any politician, and that is a geopolitics, right? We're in a really sorry state. So, quite frankly, I think they're all. It doesn't matter if you've got Labour or you've got Tory right now. They're kind of. I'm going to say singing off the same hymn sheet because the alternative is a bit X-rated. What I wanted to say, they're all sucking up something else. But anyway, the point is, right?
I'd agree with you, but that's what I thought before Labour got elected. But Labour seem to be just going way off the scale with they're implementing basically hardcore socialism.
So do we know who's funding them?
They're going to tax people's property, people's assets. They're going to tax everybody into oblivion and then obviously fritter away the money because they're a socialist government.
But then, so therefore, they are not actually standing for Labour values, and that's why people have turned against them.
Those are Labour values.
Yeah, but they're not. They're not because they're not serving the people. They're not serving the people that elected them in.
But those are Labour values because that is what all left-wing governments do.
That's in your opinion, in your humble opinion.
That's not my opinion. The only time Labour were successful and stayed in power for a decent chunk of time in recent history was Tony Blair, who was essentially a kind of a centrist,
right leaning. And actually, somebody made a very good point and said that every country has a leaning, and the UK has always had a right leaning, which is unfortunate for the rest of us who are a bit lefty. But there isn't any politician out there that is serving the left.
Because if you're a lefty, if everybody was a lefty in Britain, you would probably be eating out of a bin right now.
So what does lefty mean now? That's the whole thing. It's like, I mean, there's some things that where there's a matter across the divide, centre, middle or right, we kind of agree on. There's certain things that we actually, thankfully, like humanitarian, we agree on, right? But there's other things that it's becoming so divisive. But why are we divided when none of our politicians are actually serving us? We should be attacking them rather than each other in society, don't you think?
Yeah, no, I am attacking Labour right now, and I think it's ridiculous that they're even thinking of sending people to America when there's clearly stuff in Britain that they need to be dealing with.
Yeah, the way Keir Starmer is governing, he might not be the Prime Minister by the time Donald Trump is sworn in January.
Yeah.
But the thing is, I partially agree with Sajila. I think both left and right, and this is not just Britain, all over the Western world, traditional left and right have betrayed their traditional electorate. And that's why we see the third forces. That's why we saw Brexit, where 1/3 of Labour voters voted for Brexit just to, stick it up to, the Labour Party. Because for years and years they thought they had been abandoned. That's why we had the phenomenon of Trump in the US. That's why we had Berlusconi earlier in Italy. And that's why we have all these new alternative parties, AfD in Germany, Geert Wilders, Marine Le Pen and all that, rising all across Europe. So they have abandoned their traditional people, the traditional base. And no wonder, it's spectacular to see this time Labour have actually won these elections with the same number of votes that they received the other time, because essentially Tory voters decided to give it a pass and stay at home.
So Tories stayed home instead of Labour getting a huge groundswell of support. And Kamala calls Trump and his supporters weird. Well, let's have a look at how weird Kamala and her supporters are.
I've been thinking that we really all need a tremendous hug in the world right now. But in our country, we need you to be Mamala of the country.
We need you to be Mamala. I mean, that is weird. Maybe the Republicans, if the Democrats think the Republicans are so weird, the Republicans should have more naked transgender smurfs to be as normal as the Democrats. Kamala also wants to clamp down on free speech with misinformation laws, but this would mean that any criticism of the government could be classed as misinformation and the journalist arrested. Senior Democrats, such as John Kerry, have recommended tearing up the US Constitution, which protects and preserves freedom of speech. Freedom of speech is essential for Western society. Our societies prospered when speech was decentralised and government was seen as fallible. People could say what they want and they could criticise the government and even replace the government by voting new government in. Now the government will decide what is true, what is misinformation and what you're allowed to say without going to jail. It's a recipe for dictatorship and disaster. I mean, does this worry you? The Democrats sort of lurch towards authoritarian control of speech?
No less than John Kerry, former Democrat presidential candidate and foreign secretary, state secretary under Obama, and currently the U.S. envoy for climate change affairs. Talk about a cushy job.
Talk about a job linked to communism and authoritarianism.
Exactly. He has come out, he's on tape, saying First Amendment is a problem in the U.S. They want to get rid of First Amendment, which is one of the great things that make America great.
Which preserves freedom of speech.
Exactly. So, of course, they have come to the realization that, with the free circulation of information, they cannot win. You see, the way they won in 2020, if they won, they buried Hunter Biden laptop story based on some doubt that maybe this was fake news, and it turned out not to be fake news. And now they're so angry about Elon Musk because he gives platforms to the likes of Donald Trump. Joe Rogan gives... Donald Trump has just done a Joe Rogan interview.
It's interesting you bring up Elon Musk, because, Sajila, Elon Musk, the people on the left say Elon Musk is allowing right-wing voices to speak, and shouldn't all voices be allowed to speak? And then, we have a marketplace of ideas, people can see what they like. And what the left do is they silence and they censor anybody on the right. Elon Musk isn't censoring anybody on the left.
Everything's the left's fault. But yeah, I totally agree with you that they should be. I'm very much like you can have different views. And they need to be heard. They need to all be heard. But it's not all the left's fault either. But Elon Musk, I'm not a fan of him because he's not let me back on Twitter. So he's obviously stopping my voice. He's stopped my voice.
You were banned under the previous regime, so you've got the left to blame for that.
No, anyway. it was him. It was X.
Oh, was it him?
Okay,
maybe it's censoring some people. I apologise.
What did he do?
Coming up, we will assess the week's winners and losers, including a university professor who claims that being nice is racist, and the Royal British Legion has rolled out a woke poppy badge. All that and more right after the break. See you in a minute.
Oh, that's a good...
This is GB News, Britain's news channel.
There's a huge financial and mental strain for parents, but we have this system now where it talks about they bringing a family member to help, but I don't think that's happening a lot of the time. I think people are having to be off work, look after their child, and often, sorry to say, but their school always calls the mum, and then you have this situation where you have nobody to look after your child. People's grandparents don't seem to want to do it so much, and often family members aren't just down the road. So what we have is no village. And I think it's really important when you have a child that you need that village.
Are children getting more sicker than they used to be? Or is it just that we take the odd sniffle a bit more seriously now since 2020?
Yes, I do think the odd sniffle can be. I know in my school they say 3 days away, you know, the slightest little thing, and it's like...
If you have a cold?
Yeah, no, please, go in, yeah. And
3 days off if you have a cold for a child, and we wonder why all these parents aren't at work. I think some of these figures about people who could be working and aren't working, they're not necessarily on benefits, but some of them will be people who, during the pandemic, particularly parents, decided to get a different work-life balance. They quite liked being at home, and they realised the children are benefiting from it. Do you think those people are in these statistics, Annette?
Of people staying at home with not working?
Who decided to not go back to work of working age?
Yes, I think a lot of people don't want to go into an office anymore either. They've had that little bit of freedom and they're like, I'm not going in. And I know employers are trying to get them to go in, but they just want to be at home. They want to be near their children if their children are sick, whether that's the mum or the dad. And also, a lot of people don't live near their office or wherever. They don't want to commute. Train fares have gone up, so they say, well, why should I pay? So you have this whole knock-on effect throughout the economy.
GB News, the People's Channel.
Join me, Nana Akwe, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Every Saturday, 10 till 12, we'll bring you all of the news that you need to know. We'll also remind you that there is so much to smile about.
It's my favourite time of the week. I get to relax, enjoy some light-hearted stories, and let Ellie teach me about fashion too.
That's Saturday Morning Live, every Saturday, 10 till 12.
Only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
We're proud to be GB News, the People's Channel, and as you know, we always love to hear your views. Now, there's a new way of getting in touch with us at gbnews.com/yoursay. By commenting, you can be part of a live conversation and join our GB News community. You can even talk to me, Bev Turner, or any of the members of the GB News family.
Welcome back to the Saturday Night Showdown. It's now time to go through the winners and losers of the week. One of them's definitely a loser. It's the Socialist Worker. It's the magazine of the far left in Britain. It's ironic that it's called the Socialist Worker, given that socialists don't like working. They just like scrounging off the hard work of others. The front cover of the Socialist Worker this week was shocking. Look at this. It said, "Smash fascists off our streets." Now, obviously, fascists doesn't mean fascists. It's now a dog whistle for any British person with a job. Like Kamala calling Trump Hitler, it's just a smear against anyone more right-wing than Jeremy Corbyn. Thank God socialists are all skinny little gimps, or the Socialist Worker would surely be shut down and its editor arrested for inciting violence against these so-called fascists. A cynic would say there's a two-tier justice system to tyrannise political dissidents, but surely not. Keir Starmer has told us there's no such thing as a two-tier system. Now, Sajila, I think this is shocking that they're putting "smash fascists off our streets." Fascists is, you know, obviously doesn't mean fascists. I mean, how many fascists are in the UK right now? It's ridiculous.
Well, Tommy
rally.
Robinson in London. It's crew. His gang in London.
He's not a fascist. That's ridiculous.
Fascist.
He's not.
A fascist.
What's your definition?
He's not a dissident. He's not a dissident.
What's your definition?
He's a racist. And
what's your definition of a fascist?
And you, sorry, did you say that they're unemployed, the socialists, right? Because I'm sorry, those ones that are going on Tommy Robinson March today. Hello, everyone. Hello. But hopefully we don't retract all the racists here. We only get the nice white people here.
It's the weekend.
It's the weekend.
They're not fascists. There's veterans out there.
Please, they're not. There's veterans on the other march as well.
Genuinely, there's people. I mean, Tommy Robinson.
They are unemployed. They've got three teeth between the whole of the gang that are coming into London.
And that's more of an indictment.
And actually, do you know what? When those boats come in, right, and I always wondered what happens to those boats when they bring all these alleged thousands of millions of people.
Oh, you think these people
we should
don't
fill
exist?
up the boats with these fascists and send them on their way. That's what I say.
So you're basically advocating for the ethnic cleansing of native Britons.
I'm one ethnic cleansing in one part of the world, another ethnic cleansing in another part of the world.
How about we just stop the boats? And then, I mean, because the stories we see, I mean, like last week there was...
No, we need the boats to get rid of the fascists, because that does not stand for British values. It's not.
last week there was a Somalian man who raped a woman to death on a park bench.
Yes, of course there was.
No, there was.
Yeah.
What, are you saying there wasn't?
I'm not. I'm just saying that there's always conveniently
Then
a
this
Somalian rapist in the story. That's all.
No,
if they stop raping and murdering, it would be more.
This is something that happened.
I'm saying to
are you saying that
you
you think it's like it's something that's just made up?
No, it's not. And you know where I stand with all of that stuff. Anyone who commits any crime like that should be arrested and put away, and give them the harshest sentence.
But when people march saying, "Please deal with this issue,"
they're called
fascists. That's not why they're marching. That's not why they're marching.
Why are they marching?
Look. So on the one side, you've got people saying.
And bear in mind, there's
a
a multi-ethnic group marching.
There's multi-ethnic fascists marching, are they?
They're not fascists.
Why are they not fascists?
They're not fascists because they don't believe in the complete government control of the media and business, and fascism is a defined thing.
Okay, so
Hitler was a fascist. The government controlled everything. It controlled the media. It controlled the business. It controlled the courts and everything like that. So fascism is a defined thing. It's not just anybody you don't like.
Yeah, but so by going back to the story, which was saying that they put get rid of all the fascists, which is they're obviously referencing the march today, right? That's what they're referencing.
Yeah.
So they have disrupted into horrible, violent, racist thuggery.
The last march they had, the last rally they had, I don't think there's any violence whatsoever.
Yeah, and if there is any violence, they are met with the full force of the law, to quote Kier. So fascism has become a catch-all label, a catch-all insult for anybody who may or may not have a job. I don't think there is any shame in not having a job.
There isn't. I've been in periods when I haven't had a job.
Depraved or deprived area. But the point is that as soon as you want regulated immigration or less immigration, as soon as you say, I don't want to become a minority in my own ancestral fatherland, you are automatically labeled as a fascist, even though fascism, when you look at it, I was born in the country that invented fascism. Fascism means big government. Fascism means a lot of things. Tommy Robinson is a big supporter of Israel, by the way, but Sajila is going to say Israel doesn't equal Jews. I don't know. It has a Star of David on it. It's called the Jewish homeland and the Jewish state.
Look, listen, there's plenty of people that are on those marches that are Jewish that actually think that Palestinians have a right to exist. Palestinians do not deserve to have a genocide on them.
Robinson marches.
Huh? No, I'm talking about the other march that always gets called the hate marches.
Some marches are okay. Some marches are okay for you.
No.
I
defend their right to march. Can I just say, I defend their right to march. And going back to your rapist story,
you think that Indians marching with Tommy Robinson? You think the Jamaicans marching with Tommy Robinson?
Anyone
you think
who
they're
commits
fascist?
any crime should be arrested and have the full force of the law against them.
I'm not Anglo-Saxon, and I like Tommy. I would have gone to the march had I not been preparing for Leo's show. That's how much I care about this show. But
well, I'm just bitter because I wasn't invited.
It's spontaneous, no invitation necessary.
I'm sure they'll get you down to the next one. Anyway, what's racist this week? This week, being nice is racist, apparently. Professor Kalwant Bhopal of the University of Birmingham told black academics that being nice perpetuates white supremacy, and white managers are able to use a language of niceness, which is race-neutral language, and used to ignore racial inequalities. Sounds like a load of word salad. Race-neutral language is bad now because it's racist? I think he's got that wrong, round the wrong way. Like I almost did there. It's a real shame that so many people find the UK such an intolerably racist country. As a humanitarian and anti-racist, I think we should assist these people with relocation to a place they will find less racist. Now, I just think...
Hashtag Rwanda. I was a big supporter.
and I think taxpayers' money being spent on academia. I never see much coming out of academia that's going to help us, I don't know, get to Mars or cure cancer. It all seems to be about finding stuff and calling it racist.
Yeah, these are humanities, right, which give all of us a bad... I myself studied, communication, journalism, languages, but these people give all of us a bad name with their word salad. I mean, DI, gender studies, this is all word salad. But it's not about racism, it's about a crusade against whites, okay? They started with, remember the days IQ was racist because they discovered white people had a higher IQ. Then they decided, they discovered that white people were committing fewer crimes per capita. So then they came out with maths is racist, and maths is code word for per capita. Then they saw other people were not catching up in terms of arts, right? Their art was not as good, so they said, okay, bring in Jackson Pollock with his splashing his hands in the paint and, all that stuff, Marina Abramovich, and they declared classical art as racist. Then they saw white people like being in the nature, only a few months ago, British landscape is racist, punctuality is racist, and now being nice is racist because white people are nice to each other.
Yeah.
It's all about being against white people.
Yeah, well, just to push back on the IQ issue, I read in The Guardian this week that there's enormous diversity between, different populations of humans, but that doesn't extend to IQ, according to The Guardian. What do you think? Do you think niceness is racist?
Well, it's interesting because I don't. I mean, it gets like this is. Yeah, okay, but I'm not a fan of that, right?
Racist.
Yeah, I'm not that. But at the same time, I kind of see where they're coming from because so I am one of those racists, I think, because I speak nicely. I speak clipped enunciation.
Are you going to start speaking nicely on this
I'm a
show?
Surrey girl, and I'm quite British. Sticky toffee pudding and all that. But I think if you remember the film Airplane, do you remember the little old lady, and she goes to the group of black women who are talking, and she said, "No, stop there. It's okay. I speak jive." And I kind of understand that because I speak white, which is why I'm here right now. Because because I'm the immigrant that's done well and.
I travelled more. I came all the way from Glasgow.
But you
came further.
You haven't your
Became his accent to be a TV presenter.
Yeah, but I kind of understand where they're coming from because if you play the game, and they're obviously referencing our politicians and stuff, and it's like they're saying the right kind of immigrant. But it's like, yes, I am all those things, but I'm also very Asian. I also have this culture side. I also have this other side. But it's if it's just a uniform that you have to wear to get through, then maybe that's what you've got to do. But I am one of those racists.
I think it's fair enough to, I don't fit in with the sort of mainstream culture. Anyway, have you seen this? It's a trans remembrance poppy. You can wear it in honour of all the transgender soldiers who stormed the Normandy beaches in high heels and plastic wigs. I bought one from the Royal British Legion, a charity I support. It does sterling work raising money and respect for the military men and women, and now 420 other genders as well, who give their lives to protect our country. Unfortunately, like every charity, they've been taken over by diversity, equity and inclusion. Their diversity chief is apparently on a salary of 80 grand. That's a lot of tins of coins. And this push for diversity means that they now have a poppy that celebrates gender ideology. Who is this for? The woke weirdos who buy into gender ideology won't want to donate to veterans anyway, as they'll see them as colonial or having toxic masculinity or something like that. Sexuality wasn't a factor at the Battle of the Somme. People didn't announce their pronouns when they went over the top. They were too busy getting shot at to agonise over their gender identity. This is just going to alienate supporters. Gender ideology is controversial. Many women see it as allowing dangerous men into their sports, into their changing rooms and into their prisons. Many gay people see the mania for transitioning as erasing gay people. There's a huge question mark over the accelerating trend for drugging, sterilising and surgically maiming children because they're in the wrong body. The Royal British Legion allegedly pays £10,000 a year to be part of Stonewall's discredited Diversity Champions scheme. I'll always support them, but they need to leave the controversial gender ideologies for the Green Party conference. Also, if it's a trans poppy, shouldn't it be a gladioli that identifies as a poppy? Now, Sajila, you're wearing a poppy jacket. You obviously really believe in the poppy and
I'm worried about this because Leo, was that the photo of the actual poppy? Because I'm going to have to get a boob job because there's not room enough here to fit it all in. It's humongous. There's no room to fit it in.
They've added a whole other flag onto it. It's bigger than the actual poppy itself. Anyway, unfortunately, we've got to rush to the break. But next on the Saturday Night Showdown, we'll be having a look at our Culture Corner featuring Helen Mirren, who's sad that Kurt Cobain never got to see the genius of GPS. And a 28-year-old right-wing OnlyFans star has retired after apparently raking in $67 million in just 3 years of showing her bits on the internet. We've got pictures. No, we don't. All that and much more after the break. Now.
Good evening, welcome to your GB News weather update from the Met Office. As we look ahead to Sunday, we will have outbreaks of rain in the northwest, brighter elsewhere, but it will be feeling chillier, especially compared to Saturday. Having a look at the bigger picture then, we have this cold front sinking its way south and eastwards, introducing some cloud and outbreaks of rain. That will linger across parts of northwest England into Wales, but as it sinks its way southwards, actually it will tend to fizzle out. So many places overnight tonight seeing largely clear skies and staying largely dry as well. But it will be feeling colder out there. We may even see some mist and fog, but also some pockets of frost, especially across the north to start Sunday morning. But for many of us, it is a bright start to the day, with the exception of the far north of Scotland, where we hold on to quite a few showers. Brighter further the east you go, and then across Northern Ireland, we've got cloudier conditions coming through into the west, but holding on to the clearest skies towards the far east. Elsewhere, though, many places are seeing plenty of sunshine to start Sunday morning. Maybe some mist and fog patches, but they'll soon clear away to leave much of England and Wales a fine Sunday with plenty of autumnal sunshine. But through the afternoon, it will be turning cloudier and gloomier across Northern Ireland into northwestern Scotland, with outbreaks of rain and a bit more of a breeze picking up too. Otherwise, for many of us, it's a chillier day out there, highs of 13 to 14 degrees, especially towards the south. But as we go through into Monday, it is going to be quite a gloomy, murky picture out there. A lot of low cloud, outbreaks of rain and drizzle. There may be some glimmers of sunshine just developing towards eastern areas. But as we go through Tuesday and Wednesday, we'll start to see higher pressure building. But there is a lot of cloud and some fog as well. Bye-bye.
Budget Day on GB News on Wednesday. Stay with us all day for the most anxiously anticipated budget in a generation.
Morning through to evening, we'll be here with insight and analysis, crunching the numbers
as we work out the cost to the country and, most importantly, to you.
Because the Chancellor has a bill to pay. The question is,
who's going to pay it? Budget Day all day Wednesday on GB News.
The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Welcome to State of the Nation, daily plunge into the stories shaping our country. I'm Jacob Rees-Mogg, and Monday to Thursday we bring you the insights, the facts, the truth about how our country is being governed. Because what happens in Downing Street matters down your street. Tune in to State of the Nation every Monday to Thursday, 8 to 9 o'clock. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
£5 a month. Welcome back to the Saturday Night Showdown. How much do you think you could make for showing people your floof on the internet? Internet star Karina Kopf announced her retirement from the adult platform OnlyFans after apparently raking in $67 million during her 3 years on the saucy site. Here are some gratuitous pics of her, obviously. She's revealed that she made over $1 million within 48 hours of launching her profile. She's also a big fan of Donald Trump. She tweeted today, "I'm hoping more people see right through the lies, the BS and the propaganda from Kamala Harris and the left. We don't need 4 more years of this S. Our country is in shambles." Damn, if you think America's bad, you're lucky you don't live in the UK, Karina. Now, I've got to ask, how come hot babes are always right-wing?
I don't know. What is the answer to that?
Because the left and the woke are after equality of outcome.
Oh,
and they came up with this hashtag everybody is beautiful. And of course, if I were pretty, I would be mad, because that means everybody is like me, right?
Yeah, and also the left are about dragging other people down. It's like, you know, Keir Starmer's tax on private schools. It's like, if we can't make our own kids smarter and give them a better education, we're going to stop other people getting that aspiration, getting that, you know, maybe
equality of
striving for a better
outcome,
life.
the misery divided equally.
Grey Soviet misery over everybody, is that right?
I don't know what the question you're asking me here, but I'd love to answer it.
I'm just saying. No, but I mean, this is amazing that she's. Although it's kind of worrying. We're talking in the break about, you know, how much money's being made on OnlyFans, and also how much more respect I had for prostitutes in the old days who really had to go out and find those back streets where the truckers were. They earned their money. Now it's just anybody with a webcam.
Any with a webcam, but also that they're getting into politics. That's what fascinated me most. It's like she's you know, Trump is great, so all the people that go to her will obviously vote for her. I mean, it's mad marketing, or politics have literally gone into the I don't know if you want to see it as a gutter or not, because I don't watch these.
I think it's been
things.
elevated, I'd say.
It's been elevated. But certainly you're making use of every medium to try and get votes, which our politicians have not resorted to yet, as far as I know.
Because Trump, 4 years ago, 8 years ago, wasn't seen as cool, I guess, amongst young people. And now I've seen a big change in that. There's comedians like Theo Vaughn, Andrew Schultz coming out and openly advocating for Trump.
Yeah, and of course, as we were talking about earlier, alternative media. People maybe didn't know Trump or didn't pay attention to Trump, young people, but they knew about Elon Musk. Maybe they knew about Joe Rogan. Maybe they eat at McDonald's and this viral video of McDonald's comes out. Maybe they know some people on OnlyFans and then they come in support of Trump. But I think in terms of OnlyFans, it's a bit of a revolving door, because sometimes people who are already famous, even famous athletes, have decided to, or once they've retired, they have started their OnlyFans, or even at the same time. Like in the latest Olympics, Alicia Newman of Canada, a pole vaulter who won bronze, she already was on OnlyFans. And of course, she doesn't do hard porn or anything, but people are still following her. So this is like a side gig, as you like, or a hustle. The danger is that people will think, young people, teenagers will think it's easy. Not everybody, of course, makes it, because competition is huge.
Pole vaulting.
And OnlyFans, pole vaulting for sure.
Yeah,
it's definitely the new X Factor for the young, isn't it? Like
it's the XXX.
Very good, the Pudmaster. But it's fascinating. I find this whole area quite, I think we've got a lot more mileage out of this going forward.
Well, yeah, and like Nicola said, it's kind of worrying that young people will be seeing this and seeing the crazy sums being made. I mean, already I'm wondering how much could I make?
Well, OK, the GB News doesn't work out for us. That's where we go, right? We have our own little channel.
Retirement plan. Well, it's probably easier than the pole vaulting. Anyway, Helen Mirren has said how sad she is that Nirvana lead singer Kurt Cobain did not live long enough to experience the marvel of GPS. In an interview with the Evening Standard proprietor Evgeny Lebedev, 79-year-old actor Mirren said, "I always say it's so sad that Kurt Cobain died when he did, because he never saw GPS, as it's the most wonderful thing to watch my little blue spot walking down the street." I think that's her dog. He must have a tracker for him. "I just find it completely magical and unbelievable." It's not the first time Helen Mirren has said how sad it is that Cobain's untimely death caused him to miss out on a technological advance. In 2014, she told Oprah Winfrey, "Look at Kurt Cobain. He hardly even saw a computer." In 2015, she told Cosmopolitan, "I was thinking about Kurt Cobain the other day, and he died without knowing the internet, and I'm totally blown away by that." But I suppose on the plus side, Kurt Cobain also missed out on Candy Crush, Nigerian prince scammers, and people who pretend their toddler said something really profound about Kamala Harris that they didn't say at all. Now, are you surprised to see Helen Mirren reference Kurt Cobain so much?
I think she's a bit obsessed with him. She's obviously got like a crush on him and wish she'd had a thing with him.
Yeah.
And actually, I've got a girl crush on Helen Mirren. I think she looks amazing. 79 years old.
Yeah, she's always looked amazing.
Yeah, she's always been hot.
She's one of those ageless babes like Joanna Lumley.
But I wish she'd had Kurt Cobain when he was alive.
Yeah.
I kind of almost feel sorry for her, like, oh, you poor thing.
Maybe she did.
Maybe there's a strange fascination or obsession with, Kurt Cobain on the one side, and which is more understandable, obviously, and missing out on the joys of, modernity and internet, GPS. Well, Kurt Cobain or John F. Kennedy didn't enjoy the magic of same-day delivery, if you like. A lot of other positives from the internet.
Yeah.
But, I think the worst thing about dying is missing out on, having nice meals and enjoying the love of your kids or fans or
they might find
Christmas.
a cure. They might find, like, the pill that gives you immortality.
That would be
the next day.
Horrible. To die the day before that pill to immortality, that elixir is discovered.
You're looking at it from heaven, being like, man,
could you give me one more day?
Yeah, I know heaven's nice, but I mean, GPS is one of those things. I think if they took it away, I think we'd suddenly realise how absolutely vital it is. Like Helen Mirren says, you're watching yourself, a little blue dot walking about. She's obviously an iPhone user.
Is that how life is? How boring is the life of a celebrity and multimillionaire? Well, they have to look themselves as a dot.
Well, they've seen all the films, so that's all they've got to look at now.
Yeah, between the virtue signalling and the pretending to care about the climate,
they find time to see the blue dot, to follow the blue dot.
Anyway, next on the Saturday Night Showdown is Clown World. I'll be showing you the Cuban government selling beef bones to the public. Sounds like communism is going well. And a police officer who stole cocaine from a work lockup worth almost £400,000 to sell it back on the same streets it had come from. That and more after the break. See you in a moment.
This is GB News, Britain's news channel.
Love a bit of baking and share some hot tips. We're delighted to be joined by our baking extraordinaire, Matty Edgell, who won Great British Bake Off last year. Woo! Welcome. Congratulations as well. I'm sure you're sick of being congratulated.
And there's Matty Minder.
No, you like all the glory.
Yeah.
What was it like winning the Great British Bake Off? What's last year been like for you?
Winning it was I was not expecting to win. At any point until they said my name.
You're a very
it was a
humble
nice
guy.
surprise. No, I was
really
in touch with reality. Yeah, no, I wasn't.
Was it quite a close race throughout then?
Yeah, I considered myself the underdog throughout. I think the first week I turned around after the showstopper and kind of saw how good everyone was, and then looked at mine and thought, how have I got here? And that kind of theme followed through.
But then that surely like an underdog. You on.
Yeah,
it did.
did.
Actually, I'm going to get better throughout this.
Yeah, I think it made me kind of like really tune into the feedback that they was giving me and trying to embed that throughout. So that's probably why.
Could you feel yourself improving as the series went on?
Definitely, and I think also like kind of simultaneously my confidence improved at the same time, and then that like little bit of belief in myself probably helped out as well.
What was your strength? Biscuits, cake, bread?
I think cake's my strength.
Cake.
I think cake, typically if you start baking, that's probably where you start, isn't it? So that was what I knew most.
How did you start baking?
I've been asked this so many times since...
You don't know?
I attribute it to my nan.
Sweet.
But yeah, I would say, I think most people probably attribute it to like a grandparent or something that they maybe done with like their parents when they was growing up. So that's I'll give it to my nan.
Or the major lockdown baking boom.
Yeah, banana bread.
Everybody
all over the place, isn't it? It's good.
Yeah, it's really good. I love a banana bread, even now.
GB News, the People's Channel.
Nightmare commute? Kick it up a gear with GB News Radio. You can listen online and on DAB+ and on the GB News app. We're also on TuneIn and the Radio Player apps. From the school run to rush hour, get revved up with GB News Radio. We are the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
In the GB Newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK, we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News, the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
I'm Christopher Hope. From pop stars to politicians, I'll interview anybody in a pub who's got a political opinion. Join me every Friday on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube or gbnews.com, or wherever you get your podcasts.
This is GB News, the People's Channel.
Welcome back to the Saturday Night Showdown. Now, a police officer stole cocaine from a work lockup. Hey, we've all done it. At a street value of almost £400,000, and he sold it back on the same streets it had come from. He was caught after visiting the secure store more than 30 times to pick up the cocaine. Incredibly, he also used police computer systems to search for known dealers to help him sell it on. Now, that just seems insane to me. That it took so long to catch him, and he thought that he could get away with it.
I kind of admire his, kind of business sense.
Entrepreneurial acumen.
Entrepreneurial, yes.
It was either this or OnlyFans, as we were talking. He needed a side hustle, but this is...
Or maybe just doing his job. I mean, police officers are paid all right.
Are you sure? Because I see the ads for the entry level is despicable, the pay, but 26,000 quid to do that in London. But this is bad for the reputation of the police, because this is the worst thing that has happened since they started.
That's a pretty solid analysis there.
The worst thing that hear me out, because first they go soft on BLM thugs and arrest people for mean tweets about immigration, and now this. I mean, this was the last time. This was the last thing they needed for their reputation.
This is a proper crime. Speaking of proper crime, Chris Kaba was a violent criminal who was shot dead by one of London's brave firearms officers after Kaba drove his car at the police officer and other officers. Incredibly, despite risking his life to keep Londoners safe, this firearms officer was put on trial for murder, but the jury cleared him this week, and they took just 3 hours to find him unanimously not guilty. And despite this man, this police officer, being a hero, and Chris Kaba being a vicious thug who shot a rival Blacks' Right charity, the Runnymede Trust claimed that Kaba was a victim of racist state violence. And Jeremy Corbyn, Dan Abbott, and these plonkers came out to defend him too. Take a look at this.
Justice! Now! Justice! Now! Chris Kaba! Chris Kaba! Chris Kaba! Chris Kaba!
It's interesting that all the people there chanting for Chris Kaba, supporting Chris Kaba, seem to be white to me. I think black people have got more sense than to support somebody who shoots black people.
Absolutely, because usually, you know, these, speaking of black on black crime, if you look at knife crime victims, if you look at crime at the lowest strata of the society, the victims are usually black. And I feel, actually, I admire these as somebody who missed out on the march today. These people, between supporting for Hamas and supporting for this career criminal, imagine how much time and dedication they allocate to this case.
Yeah, I mean, this seems open and shut, and I can't believe that members of Parliament and you know, a charity that's supposed to be upholding the rights of black people would come out and support a criminal like this.
Yeah, I know. I just want to correct you there. They're not Hamas supporters, by the way. But yeah, no, I agree. I mean, as you say, when there's crime, you know, I want them arrested and gone. So they've committed a crime. I'm not sure about the shooting. Perhaps that was a little bit unnecessary. We're not America.
Oh,
so
just
we
let him kill who he wants.
No, we don't. I don't agree with letting him kill who he wants. Obviously, he needs to be arrested. He needs to be tried. I'd rather see them be tried and actually punished.
No, I think they need to get the message that if you try and kill police officers, you're going to get shot. And Labour want to deliver a socialist paradise in the UK where landlords and people with savings are taxed to pay for everyone else, so we all end up equal. Well, how's the socialist dream going in Cuba? Let's have a look. Oh, look, this Cuban government is selling beef bones from the back of a truck to the public who are having to queue up. There's no hygiene or food safety standards, and chicken is a luxury reserved for the families of the ruling Communist Party. It's been a disaster. Well, up next, it's Mark Dolan tonight. What have you got for us this evening, Mark?
Nice segue, Leo. It's been a disaster. Mark Dolan is next. Well, let me tell you. By the way, the more I hear about this Chris Kaba guy, I'm going right off him, I've got to say. He is definitely off my Christmas card list, return to sender. Listen, folks, you won't believe this, but government boffins are telling us to halve our meat consumption to save the planet. Well, I'll be tackling that topic in my big opinion with 2 words. Here's my answer: burger off. And at 10 o'clock, a crisis that promises to cause havoc for BBC radio management. A massive, massive crisis over at 5 Live. I shall reveal all. We're live from 9.
Sounds amazing, Mark. I can't wait to watch it. And Sajila, what do you make of this, like the government trying to get us to eat less meat to save the planet?
Well, can we just keep eating it until we get to the point where it's too like scarce? We're not there yet. We're not there yet. We've still got plenty of meat. We need a bit of meat. We need a bit of protein. Come on.
Exactly. But when I look at the state of modern people, they're all spindly arms. They've got those tubby little carbohydrate bellies. They need some high quality protein, some bioavailable protein that can only come from killing an animal.
And the masculinity, because if we are to storm the beaches of Normandy ever again, or any other beach, it takes a lot of toxic masculinity, and you get that only from meat.
And
Absolutely.
Also, men would feel emasculated because you are the hunter. You have to go to Sainsbury's and get your joint.
Exactly. That's why I throw a spear into those pork chops before I pick them up. Anyway, thank you so much to my brilliant panel tonight, the comedians Nicholas DeSanto and Sajila Kershi. Do check them out online and live, and I'll see you again next week. And don't forget Headliners as well tonight at 11 p.m. Till next week, goodbye.
A nice bright morning will generate a lovely warm day, right through to the evening. Boxed Solar, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Good evening. Welcome to your GB News weather update from the Met Office. As we look ahead to Sunday, we will have